For us, the Red Kingdom, every offseason is an emotional roller coaster. We celebrate the Super Bowl confetti, but 5 minutes later we're already biting our nails, staring at the depth chart and asking ourselves, what's next? The Kansas City Chiefs 2025 season began with a ghost that has haunted us since that fateful Super Bowl 55 in Tampa, the offensive line. It was our Achilles heel, the chink in the golden armor. And then, in the 2025 NFL Draft, Brett Veach and Andy Reid did what they do best. They made a bold move, a high-stakes gamble with a potentially massive payoff. They selected Josh Simmons, the offensive line colossus from Ohio State. The catch? He came with an asterisk the size of the state of Missouri, a left knee injury that sidelined him for a good chunk of his final college season. It was one of those moments where we hold our breath. The risk was obvious, but the possibility of placing an elite bodyguard in front of Patrick Mahomes was simply too irresistible. The question that keeps us up at night is, will his body hold up? Will the franchise's bet be ready for Week 1? The future of our three-peat quest could literally depend on the strength of that one knee. And here comes the why that only someone who is truly Chiefs understands. Why do we freak out so much over a rookie left tackle? Why does every news report about a ligament or a meniscus on an offensive lineman cause us a mini heart attack? Because we have memory. We have scar tissue. We close our eyes and can still see the image of Patrick Mahomes running for his life in Super Bowl 55, fleeing a horde of defenders like a character in a horror movie. That wasn't a loss, it was a collective trauma. That game taught us that the offensive line isn't just a part of the team, it's the very foundation upon which our dynasty was built and almost crumbled. Since then, every draft pick, every signing for the OL is analyzed by us with the precision of a surgeon. Josh Simmons isn't just a player to us, he's the personification of the hope that this wound will finally be healed for good. We follow his progress like we're watching the final episode of our favorite series, because deep down we know Josh Simmons' health is directly linked to the health of our dreams for another parade in Kansas City. And then our Big Red, the Zen master of the sideline, Andy Reid, steps in. When he speaks, we all stop to listen. On the last day of mandatory minicamp, the question on every mind in the Red Kingdom was asked, "Coach, what about Simmons? Does he have a chance to be ready for the start of the season?" Reid's cautious optimism was music to our ears. "Listen, you can see his athletic ability, you can see his will, he's got a great attitude," the coach said, and we all start to smile. Reid continued, praising Simmons' mentality during his rehab, highlighting that he didn't approach the process thinking about being ready for training camp, but for right now. That's the mentality we love, the Chiefs way. But as always, Reid brings us back to reality with his dose of pragmatism. We'll see what a training camp does, and it's different when things are going fast out there and you get full contact and pads on and see how he does. This is the conflict that lives within us, the hope fueled by the player's work ethic and the coach's optimism against the harsh reality of the true test. We trust the process, but we're holding our breath. Let's dive into Josh Simmons' mind for a moment. Imagine being a young man in his early 20s only to see your college career cut short by a devastating injury. Now imagine that, even with all that, one of the greatest teams in NFL history bets on you. They pick you in the first round, signaling that you aren't just a project, but a centerpiece of their future. The motivation that generates must be surreal, like injecting rocket fuel into your veins. Simmons isn't just rehabbing an injury, he's sprinting toward the greatest opportunity of his life. This is the hero's journey we love. The challenge and the intent are clear. He knows he was called to be one of the guardians of the kingdom, to protect the most valuable asset in the league. Why is his attitude praised by Reid so fundamental? Because in the Chiefs culture, talent gets you in the room, but mentality keeps you there. He's not just trying to get back on the field, he's fighting to take his post in a wall that bears the responsibility of holding up the weight of a dynasty. When we zoom out, Josh Simmons' situation becomes a metaphor for our entire journey as a dynasty. Staying on top is exponentially harder than getting there.
our biggest area of concern remains the protection of Mahomes. If Josh Simmons not only recovers, but establishes himself as a dominant force in Week 1, the impact is seismic. It's not just about filling a spot. It's about silencing the critics and solidifying our fortress for another long and grueling campaign toward the Super Bowl. A healthy Josh Simmons is like adding a cannon tower to a castle that's already nearly impenetrable. It gives Andy Reid more flexibility and Patrick Mahomes the confidence to stand in the pocket and dissect defenses with the calmness of a surgeon. Imagine a Mahomes with plenty of time. The possibilities are terrifying for the rest of the NFL. That's why Simmons' recovery isn't just an individual comeback story. He's not just a player, he's the key that could lock the door on the hopes of all of our rivals. We now arrive at the climax of this offseason saga. The OTAs and minicamp were the trailer. Training camp in St. Joseph will be the full-length feature film. That's where we'll see theory turn into practice. The will and attitude of Simmons will face the brute force of 300-pound defensive ends. The rehab knee will be tested in real game situations. It's the moment of truth, where hope meets reality. The Chiefs coaching staff and we, the fans, will be watching every rep with our fingers crossed and our hearts in our throats. If Josh Simmons takes the field in Week 1, it won't just be a rookie's debut, it will be the triumph of a courageous gamble. It will erase the doubts and send a clear message to the entire league. The Kansas City Chiefs didn't just fix their one apparent weakness, they turned it into a strength. The journey to the next Super Bowl starts now. How about those Chiefs?